Okay, I think it's 6:30 and I would want to formally say good evening to one and all and good morning to Russ here.
Good morning.
And I'm Ruchira Banka. I'm your host for the session today. And on behalf of Shimanli, I would like to welcome you to this webinar on global citizenship. While we are waiting for multiple other participants to join in, we would definitely start respecting that your time and that you've joined on time. I'm sure it is the topic itself that has brought all of us here. And we have Dr. Russ here, who's going to talk about the concept of global citizenship. How can we teach this to our students? How can we teach our students to be global citizens? He will talk about what this concept is and why is it important, and finally also elaborate on the methods of teaching it. So I'm glad there are educators like you who all care for knowing and maybe throwing more light on this concept. To begin with, I would like to thank Shimin Lee for providing us this platform where we discuss this concept, which clearly resonates with the mission of Shimin Lee. Let me introduce Shimin Lee to you first. Shimin Lee is a Japanese word that means citizen. And Shimin Lee is an edtech platform that aims to create global citizens. Shimin Lee provides skill-based programs to both schools and individuals with a belief that students need holistic education to shape up as resilient, confident individuals who are ready to prosper in the real world. With a vision to create these future-ready citizens, Shimanli provides lessons to students that focus on development of academic skills and life skills with professionally trained teachers from across the globe. And the idea of giving the best education to the future citizen raises this thought of getting educators together, like in today's webinar and many more that we would organize. Today, to discuss this concept, we have Dr. Russ, who aligns himself to the mission that Shimanli carries and is a facilitator at Shimanli. Let me introduce him to you. Dr. Russ obtained his PhD in History and Politics from University of Melbourne. He also holds a master's degree in international relations from Moscow State University of International Relations, a top-ranking diplomatic school. Dr. Russ is a strong education professional with a history of working in higher education sector of Australia and proven ability to effectively communicate with learners from diverse cultural backgrounds. He's passionate about teaching and mentoring, writing, curriculum development, research, information management, and public speaking. He's fluent in multiple languages like Russian, English, Spanish, and Portuguese. And I personally must tell you that I really enjoy attending his sessions at Shimanli. So the stage is all yours, Dr. Russ. Welcome you.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to our webinar. It's my first webinar in Shimanli, so hopefully everything goes well. So as Ruchira has said, today the topic of our webinar is global citizenship. Why does it matter? So even if your cameras are off, please feel free to ask any questions here or write your questions in the chat if you want. So as you write your questions in the chat, I may address them while I'm speaking as well. So let's try to make it as interactive as we can. So global citizenship is something that has been talked about a lot, yeah, and for many people the whole concept of global citizenship may be not very clear. Yeah, some people might say, what is global citizenship? I don't know what that means. Yeah, I don't need that. So global citizenship is a concept that has become popular very recently. Yeah, as you probably understand, the world that we are living in has not always been globalized. Yeah, it has been globalized for the last 30 or 40 years. Yeah, so a global citizen is a person who is aware, yeah, and who understands the fact that we're all living in an interconnected world, yeah, in the world where everyone depends on one another, yeah, where what we do shapes what the life or the experiences of other people are. So they are citizens of the world, even though it sounds a little bit pompous maybe, but that's true. Yeah, that's exactly what they are. They are the citizens of the world, and what they do, they take an active role in the community, in their local community, yeah, in the global community if they want to. They work with others where they do and care about the world that we are living in, yeah, and they try to make our planet a peaceful and sustainable place to live. And especially given the various problems that our world is facing now, being a global citizen important. Yeah, it's very important for these generations and for future generations as well. Now, so let me tell you more about what global citizens do, yeah, or what they are responsible for, what their functions are. Yeah, so I understand that the whole concept of global citizenship may be a little bit abstract, yeah, and it is abstract because it includes many different areas and facets. So first of all, global citizens, yeah, they understand that they have this understanding that peoples and countries in the world are interconnected and interdependent. Even though it sounds a little bit obvious, yeah, you will be surprised to know that there are so many people in the world who are still not getting this. Yeah, these people range from, you know, normal people to politicians. Yeah, there are countries which actively reject this idea of interconnectedness, and that's why these countries are usually dictatorships. Yeah, they're not open to the world. Yeah, the people in these countries are suffering because the leaders of these countries, they don't want their citizens to be global citizens. Yeah, so that's important to understand. Yeah, this interconnectedness is vital. We can't live in the world we're living in now without understanding that. So in this way, we're all a little bit global citizens. So they also understand the ways in which human rights violations in other countries can affect our human rights. Yeah. So for example, if you hear about human rights violations in other countries, you may think, oh, it doesn't have anything to do with me. Well, you are wrong, because it has something to do with you. Yeah. It doesn't mean that you have to go to this country and fight for these rights. Yeah. But you need to be aware that these things happen and that they potentially can happen in your country. They also understand the issues of unequal income distribution in the world and how that affects the world in general. They also understand the problem of immigration, yeah, which is becoming more of a concern in our global world. Yeah. Again, if there is no mass immigration in your country, it doesn't mean that this is not something you shouldn't think about. Yeah. So global citizens, they are aware of these problems. And as I will mention that, as I will say, they will want to make their contribution to resolve these problems. So the second thing that global citizens have, yeah, they understand global issues. Yeah, and there are so many issues that make our lives a little bit difficult. Yeah, for some people, they are contributing factors to, you know, to their very difficult lives. Yeah, so global citizens are aware of these things. Yeah, they understand the problem of natural resources, the challenges because of this unequal distribution of wealth, the conflicts within countries and between countries. Yeah, and what is required to make these countries to you know, to peace. And of course, they understand such global issues like global warming, yeah, or environmental pollution, something that is relevant in any country. First, the third thing that global citizens have and share is their understanding of other people's perspectives, yeah, on global issues. So any global issue has various multiple ethnic, social, and political, and even economic aspects. Yeah, so global citizens understand all these views, yeah, and they usually avoid taking sides with one particular view. Yeah, they're trying to come up with their own understanding. I know it may sound a little bit abstract again, yeah, but global citizenship is not something very easy to pin down. Yeah, it's a whole concept that includes many different aspects. So number 4, yeah, so global citizens, they promote and they advocate for greater international cooperation between countries and other nations. Yeah, so again, you may think, oh, well, it's probably politicians. Well, not only politicians. Yeah. So, for example, when you travel to another country and when you talk to your, when you talk about your country, yeah, you kind of promote cooperation between the two countries. You talk about the culture of your country, the people are talking about the culture of their country. So there is this interconnectedness and understanding on a local level, yeah, on a less powerful level than politicians. So it's not only politicians who can promote this international cooperation, yeah, people can do that themselves. And number 5, yeah, so global citizens promote lifestyles and values that help us build a sustainable planet and demonstrate respect of the world's cultural diversity. Probably this is one of the most important things that global citizens can do. Yeah, they can raise our awareness about the problems that our planet is facing. I remember that when I was working in Australia, I remember that there was a person in our teacher's room who would always use many plastic bottles. And one other teacher would say, hey, why are you using so many plastic bottles? Why are you buying a new one? Why can't you just buy one and, you know, use it and use it and use it? So the person who gave this advice is actually, you know, a global citizen, yeah, because this person is aware of the problem of plastic, yeah, and this person knows that we can do something to make this situation better. Yeah, we don't need to make any global, you know, things. Yeah, but we can start with something as simple as that. Yeah, so this is an example of global citizenship. And again, even though it may seem something small, if everyone does this, yeah, if everyone is a global citizen in a way, then the change will be inevitable. Yeah, the positive change will be inevitable. So global citizens also cultivate values of tolerance, yeah, compassion, empathy, yeah, for others, and they try to build mutually supportive relationships with people from other cultures and countries. Yeah, so again, global citizenship is a recent thing, yeah, because it's during the recent years that international travel has increased, yeah, and that's why it's so important now. Now, so I have said that I have mentioned the example, yeah, and the fact that some people can already be considered global citizens in a way, yeah. So let me give you, and it's true, you are a global citizen, yeah. Everyone is global citizen who is dealing with. If you are attending this webinar, means that you are a global citizen. Now, so what are the forms of global citizenship? So the first form is being self-aware, yeah, which means understanding yourself, your feelings, yeah, your reactions, your emotions, possessing emotional intelligence, and being aware of others around you. Yeah. So, for example, you are already a global citizen in a way if you have a good awareness of the world around you, yeah, with all these problems. So you can also consider yourself to be a global citizen if you have an awareness about your place in the world, yeah, about your role, yeah, about your contribution that you can make potentially, yeah, to improve the situation in the local community or in the world. Again, it doesn't have to be something global. It can be something as little, as small as, you know, using less plastic, yeah, or if you see some social injustice, yeah, calling it out or something like that. So the second point is that global citizens, they have cultural empathy. Yeah, again, cultural empathy is super important in the interconnected world that we're living in. Yeah, different people from different countries, a lot of interaction between different nationalities. So different cultures, different practices, different types of behavior. So all of that can cause clashes. Yeah. So, and if you have cultural empathy, and if you have understanding of why these people are acting this way, yeah, if you know that this is something that is acceptable in their culture, then there may be less frictions and tensions between you and the people from other culture. Yeah. So cultural empathy. If you possess this understanding, cultural empathy, then you can also call yourself a global citizen. Yeah. So again, cultural empathy is when you understand multiple perspectives from, you know, formed by the influence of different countries. Yeah. And it also means being able to relate to other countries, to understand that there are many different cultures in the world, and what, for example, is acceptable in your country, in your culture may not be acceptable in the other culture. Yeah, like manners or something like that. Of course, there are some things that can be, a little bit over the top, but some basic things like, etiquette or some forms of behavior. So global citizens are aware of these things. So point number 3, global citizens are able to make principled decision making. Yeah, they are able to engage in decision making. What is decision making? Decision making is when you make decisions. Yeah. So global citizens, when they make decisions, they consider all solutions to problems. Yeah, they make informed decisions, based on their understanding of current global issues. Yeah, again, we can talk about politicians. Yeah, we can talk about normal people. Again, the example with plastic bottles. The person knows that pollution, overuse of plastic is a problem. So this person makes a principled decision making, a decision which is informed by their awareness, that we need to help our planet, because if we don't, then nobody will. And point number 4, global citizens, they participate in the social and political life of their community, or even better, in the world's community. Yeah, there are many different types of communities, from the local to global, from religious to political groups. So global citizens, they feel connected to their community, and they try to translate this feeling of being connected to participation. They don't just sit around lazily. They're trying to contribute and they're trying to participate. They can make responsible personal choices. They can use less plastic. Again, they can vote. They can volunteer, they can engage in some political activism. They can engage with issues like poverty, trade, health, human rights. You'll be surprised how skeptical many people are about voting in many countries, even those countries that are seemingly democratic. They just think, oh, well, we don't need to vote. We're not going to vote. It's not going to change anything. So global citizens, they challenge this wrong assumption. They go and they vote. They are trying to make a change. So again, something as simple as voting is already considered being a global citizen, because you care about what is happening in your community. And you are not trying to let's say, stay away from these civic duties. So if you fulfill your civic duties, then you are a global citizen as well. So as you can see, there are many, many sides to being a global citizen, and they're all equally important. Now, we have talked about mainly the benefits of being a global citizen when it comes to our community. Now, let's think about ourselves, because obviously, if it's good for a community, then probably being a global citizen is good for ourselves. And that's true. There are some things, there are many things actually that are beneficial. Of course, being a global citizen is more about responsibilities, that come our way with increased exposure to the world, but it's also about benefits. So first of all, global citizens, they have this awareness and understanding and knowledge and respect for others that already makes their life easier. Easier not only in their own country, but in other countries. So if you understand other cultures well, if you are able to interact with them in a way that doesn't offend them or shows respect to them, then it means that your career opportunities are greater. It means that you're more likely to work for, an international company if you want to. It means that you will have more perspectives in your lives, that will help you to look at the problem that you might be having from a different perspective. People should not underestimate the take, the views, the perspectives of other people, because sometimes people can see something that you can't, you haven't been able to see, and their culture can be something instrumental in helping you see the root of the problem and the solution. So you will be able to, so summarizing basically, you will be able to have more insight, on the problems that are definitely present in everyone's life. So number two, you participate in the community, yeah, in the community, local community, global community, yeah. So that means that you understand the problems around you. That means that you are well informed, yeah. And if you are well informed, you cannot be easily manipulated, yeah. Unfortunately, these days, information manipulation is something that governments in different countries use, yeah. People who want to influence people, yeah, on Facebook, Instagram, and other social media, yeah, they can disseminate disinformation. So people who are well informed, they are not easily manipulated, yeah, because they are able to think critically about what they see, yeah, and they have knowledge about global things and problems. So yeah, so no one will tell you, oh, this country wants to start a war with us, yeah, because you know that this country has nothing against us. So you will not be easily manipulated by state propaganda, yeah. So that's something very important. And number three, as a global citizen, you will be able to solve problems, yeah. You will have this ability to think critically, to communicate ideas effectively, and to work with others. Again, because the world is so interconnected, you're very likely to work with people from other countries and other cultures. So your understanding of their culture will help you work better with them, yeah, and avoid conflicts or frictions based on cultural misunderstandings. So that will help you personally, that will help you educationally, and this will be helpful professionally, yeah. So global citizenship is paramount, yeah, even though many schools are still reluctant to embrace this idea, unfortunately. Now, the most important question is, how can we teach global citizens? Yeah, do we need to give them information about global issues? Do we need to ask them to watch the news or current affairs? Again, there are many things that we can do to teach global citizens. And you can check out our Shuminli blog, where there are many articles on this topic, actually. So I have summarized, I have chosen the most important ones. So the most important one is, as teachers and educators, we need to encourage open communication. Yeah, it's very important. It's very important, and unfortunately, I've realized that not many people actually understand what open communication means. Yeah, so in our classroom, we need to have a culture of honest and open communication. Yeah, so this two-way street, yeah, these dialogues between us and the children, they create awareness, yeah, that we are able to listen to one another. Yeah, so they provide safety to our children, yeah, and it shows them that their voices can be heard, yeah, and it helps them develop their communication skills as well. So teaching around the world, I've seen many classrooms where what teacher says is the ultimate truth, yeah, and students just sit still like this and they don't say anything. So in a classroom like this, a global citizen cannot be basically, cannot emerge, yeah. So I'm not saying that you should spend all your time in your class chatting to your students casually, yeah, but if they have an opinion, yeah, if they have an opinion and they want to express this opinion, yeah, and they want to speak out, well then let them speak, yeah, or hear them, or try to incorporate more interactive activities like debates, discussions, yeah. So all these things where all these opportunities in which students talk and express their point of view, they encourage open communication, and it's very important, yeah. So we should try and gradually forgo this old-fashioned approach when the teacher just speaks, delivers material, and students sit still, listen, and then during the next class they just repeat what they have heard. Yeah, that's something from past centuries, and no global citizenship here will be possible, not at all. So that's very important. And we need to start, probably many teachers and educators, we need to start from ourselves, because I was educated in a traditional classroom. Sometimes I feel tempted to just deliver a lecture and go home, but I always stop myself and I say, no, this pattern has to be broken. And it's interesting when you interact with people, when you interact with people, when you have this atmosphere of open communication. Again, it doesn't mean that everyone screams or says whatever they think. No, it should be all done in an organized way. But your students need to know that if they have an opinion, they can be heard, not necessarily in the classroom. They can approach you after the class. So this has to happen. And open communication is a big topic. And I think we have some articles in our Shuminli blog. Now, number 2, promote inquiry-based learning. Again, this is a ramification of open communication. So we need to create an active learning environment. Introducing critical thinking skills through inquiry-based learning. Again, some people may think, some teachers may think, okay, how can I teach my students the concept of critical thinking? Oh, I'll just tell them what critical thinking means. So you can do that, but that will not be as effective as actually asking students, for example, to work in groups and to discover the answers themselves, to discuss these answers in their groups, and then present them to you to see if they're right or wrong. So that is active inquiry-based learning. So for example, if there is a new concept, before explaining this concept to your students, you can ask them to do some research, to discuss this research, maybe even debate that, and then bring this to you. And then as a class, you will discuss if this answer was correct or not. So that will already make this new information sink in their heads. It will make them active learners rather than passive learners who just sit and listen and then forget. And this new material, it will be absorbed, as well as skills like critical thinking, group work, research, something that cannot be done theoretically. This is very important. So inquiry-based learning. So, and sometimes, yes, we're teachers, but sometimes we should let ourselves be facilitators. So that's what we do in Shuminli. So we encourage our students to communicate, sometimes teach one another. Of course, we keep the whole situation under control, but we're trying to make their line of reasoning, their their thoughts, we're trying to encourage the flow of their thoughts, and that's how we encourage open communication as well. But the main thing is that I've seen, again, in many classrooms, that what happens is this: everyone opens their book, the teacher provides explanation, people do exercises, students do exercises, and that's it. So instead, we should pay more attention to group work, group discussions, debates, roundtable discussions, all these kind of things, where students are actively engaged in their learning, where they're not just passively sitting and yawning, when they're actually actively engaged and when they are actually teaching their peers. Don't be afraid to let your students teach other teachers. So in the class, there are always students who are stronger than others. And that's good, because stronger students can help you, with those students who are weaker. And again, in the traditional kind of classroom, it's possible that just a few, 2 or 3 students understood you, and others didn't. So if you don't have open communication, if you don't have inquiry-based learning, these students will never dare to come up to you and ask questions. They will just, they will continue being oblivious to what you have been teaching them. So this is why it's important. Now, number 3, promote feel, think, feel, act attitude. So what we think affects how we feel and how we act. So if, for example, our students or children learn that in some places in our planet, there are people struggling with clean water every day, then this information may encourage them to do something. And it may create a space for them to explore what they can do to help less fortunate people. Yeah, and this information can motivate people to make the world a better place. So encourage your students, for example, to set goals, yeah, and move at whatever speed that suits them. Yeah, for example, raising funds for class equipment, yeah, or helping local communities or something like that. Yeah, so give them a goal, let them achieve this goal at the pace that they consider acceptable, and you will see that they are becoming responsible, yeah, responsible global citizens. Yeah, so they feel that something needs improving, they think about it, yeah, and they act. This is what this attitude is about. Also, you as a teacher can introduce global events. Yes, this is a theoretical approach, but this approach is possible. Yeah, this approach is valid. So you can, for example, explore past and present social movements and global events with children. Yeah, you can tell them that the fact that we're all, living in freedom now has not always been that way. Yeah, that there were social movements, there were people, outstanding people who managed to make our world a better place. Yeah, so you can also use globally oriented learning resources, yeah, and bring a broader perspective to children. You can help young learners understand the relationships between local, national, international, yeah. So this knowledge can help them to see things from a global perspective. You can use things like sports, music, and art, yeah, which are always universal and are always the best ways to promote cultures. Yeah, so children you can ask your students to watch, the news and present a piece of news every day. Yeah, give a short presentation, give a short 5-minute presentation during the class, yeah, about what is happening in the world, so that this kind of attitude becomes a habit, and so that they always stay informed and up to date about what is happening in the world. You can also encourage global and multicultural experiences. Yeah, you can offer your students opportunities to experience cultural diversity at school, at home. Yeah, you can create a real-life cultural learning experience for young children. Yeah, you can use various things. Yeah, so multicultural experiences. I mean, you can use YouTube. Yeah, you can again, it's purely theoretical in a way, yeah, but that's not something that that is something that can definitely help us. Yeah, it can definitely help students to understand that they're living in a world where people are interdependent. Now, the last one, yeah, which seems quite obvious, probably multilingual. Yeah, learning a new language. So this is something that we can all do. Yeah, we can learn a new language ourselves, and we can encourage our students to learn new languages. So without a doubt, language is an essential key to opening doors to the outside world. Yeah, the more languages you speak, the more likely you are to work in an international company, or the more likely you are to be a person who is connected to the international affairs or the world, and the more likely you are to be a global citizen. So multilingual education gives diverse learners across access to some of the most critical cultural knowledge. Yeah. So besides English, there are many other popular languages like Mandarin, Spanish, German, French, and so on. And a person who lives with several linguistic codes, yeah, or competencies, allow themselves to acquire emotional connections with the language. Yeah, that's very important. Language is not just a way of speaking or writing or something. Yeah, it's an emotional connection to a culture. Yeah, so this is an extraordinary opportunity for you to connect with other people from other cultures on a level that would have been impossible if you spoke English with them. Yeah, so this is critical, and languages, they are important here, and we're not talking about, you know, formal communication with letters or something. So teaching global citizenship is a set of guidelines rather than rules. Yeah, so we as teachers, yeah, we need to first try and become global citizens ourselves. Yeah, so I know that there are many teachers who are still not familiar with this concept, yeah, who may be familiar with this concept but are still unwilling and reluctant to embrace it. Some people don't even know, yeah, they know that this concept exists, yeah, they like this concept, but they don't know where to start. Yeah, so again, here I've given some general advice, yeah, on how we can make our students global citizens. Yeah, so these are just guidelines. Yeah, these are not rules. We also need to remember that parents' role is to provide the environment, guidance, and support here, and parents' role is very important. There's a lot of scientific evidence, yeah, according to which parents' reactions, they can be very, they can quickly impact how the children, how our children feel, yeah, and it's also an example, yeah, for them. So if parents are aware of what is happening in the world and they understand the importance of this knowledge, then their children will be bound to be global citizens as well. So encouraging younger generations to develop their knowledge, to get in touch with the world, yeah, to be aware that their day-to-day decisions are dependent on many other people, yeah, and are interlinked with everyone. It's very important, yeah, and that's what global citizenship is about. All right, so I think, Ruchira, I think that's everything for me. And now I would be very happy to answer any questions. Please feel free to ask your questions. If you don't want to ask them verbally, you can type your question, or maybe you can share your experiences of doing something similar, yeah, of doing something that I have mentioned already, like, for example, group work or research tasks and projects in the classroom. I know it may take some time to type the question, so please feel free.
Yeah, you have the access to mic, so anyone can,
Yes.
please, looking forward to suggestions. And how have you brought in global citizenship into your classroom, or any takeaway from the discussion that we've had right now that you would want to take in your classroom? I can share one example at this point, Russ. We used to, I was teaching in an IB school, prior to coming to Shimanli, and we used to have cultural exchange programs with different schools from across the globe. So that is sometimes these were virtual exchanges where students used to discuss how would they even approach a particular topic in their class. So if we are talking about certain things about communication itself, how a teacher in India might be teaching communication would be completely different. How is it taught in the other side of the world? So how do students perceive it? What is their take on that? Those kind of interactions really helped our students to understand the perspective of others. And of course, that helped them to become open-minded, because they themselves realize that my point of view may not always be correct, or may not always be the best, at least. So there are multiple people who might have different points of view that may help me in my problem situation sometimes. And sometimes we've also done cases where we've sent our students abroad with our students living in families of other students, and they come and live here with our families. So those cultural exchanges have also been proven to be very interesting for the kids. One thing is that they get to live their whole life. It's a complete life. They sit into their classrooms, they understand how teachers teach there, they understand what different topics are taught there itself. and live with their families, see how their food is, how their culture is, how would they celebrate festivals. So we've done these programs for around 15 to 30 days on each side. So have been really wonderful as a part of bringing in global citizenship into classrooms.
And yeah, and that's a good point. And I've just remembered that, for example, there are teachers, yeah, wanting to teach elsewhere in the world, yeah. And again, it all comes to cultural differences. Yeah, you need to be culturally sensitive. You need to be aware what kind of discussions can be considered maybe offensive in some cultures, yeah, or again, this cultural knowledge that you have, yeah, and if you are going to teach in another country, yeah, that will be useful, yeah. So not to embarrass yourself, not to embarrass your students, to make it all comfortable for everyone, yeah, and not to maybe even break the law.
Yeah, true that.
That may happen.
Yeah. Yeah, and as you rightly said, that we can start from local and make it global. So I would want to share another experience, and now I'm open enough to be able to share that experience. Once I joined the international school, trust me, I was very nervous, full of anxiety. Why? Because I might not able to accept and understand the accent of my students who might come from different parts of the globe. So that was something that made me very anxious. How would I be able to manage? I've always been surrounded by Indians, be it to the classrooms or be my friends and relatives everywhere around Indians, and I have been into this accent always. So how do I accept that there are people of different parts of the world who speak different than me? Their understanding may be different. They may not be able to understand my accent at times. How am I going to teach? But absolutely getting into the classroom, trying to know the kids, trying to know how do they, what do they like, their likes and dislikes. So I was able to manage, and till date, I remember those first few days and how has the graph risen from there. That's another example that I really believe that I give to my students as well, that you have to start from the local. It's not that you have to do big things to be a global citizen. And if everyone does their bit, I think we are moving in the right direction at least.
And I mean, I have talked about many serious things connected to, like, related to being global citizens, the citizenship, but I also forgot to mention that being a global citizen is actually fun. It can be very, very fun. Yeah, I mean, I was born in Russia, but I don't really have Russian friends. I have friends from different countries, from different corners of the world, and I'm so happy to have these friends. And on a personal level, this cultural interconnectedness makes me very, very happy. Like different perspectives, different views, yeah, different types of food, different types of entertainment. So all these things, they are all pertinent to this idea of global citizenship, and the fact that we're traveling and everything. It's extremely fun, yeah. So, and once you are open to this idea of being an open citizen, and once you start doing something to be one, yeah, you will be propelled into this world, yeah. So I would say that the best, so if we're talking about ourselves like teachers, yeah, and becoming global citizens, I would start with probably learning a new foreign language, because nothing else will give you as much inspiration, and nothing else will open as many doors as speaking a foreign language, a different one from the one that you were born with. Like that will automatically, at least you will visit a country where this language is spoken, yeah, at least you will interact with other people, and that will change your life for the better, yeah. Again, this is an abstract idea and it's difficult to pin down, but nothing has been as important as global citizenship is in my life, to like from my perspective, and I wouldn't have been working for Shiminli if I was not in part a global citizen. So it's extremely fun. It is many responsibilities, yeah, because your lifestyle may be different from those people who don't want to be thinking about the community, yeah, but it's also fun. That's something very important, I think.
I'm sure. Yeah. So teachers, if any points that you would love to share, because we would love to learn from your experience as well.
Maybe something. Maybe you are opposed to the idea of global citizen. Who knows? Open communication, right?
Okay, I believe it's the end of the week and everyone's tired coming back from their work, so we're not having that kind of communication as of now. But in case, I believe you're looking forward to move in the same direction of creating global citizens as Shimanli does, as we've spoken about. You please reach out to us at the mentioned email ID. We do conduct a free demo workshops for students to understand the program better, and I would like to thank from all of, on behalf of all of us and from Shimanli, Dr. Russ, who's been able to spend some time putting in, his ideas, doing a lot of research and, getting us so many good ideas of how to bring global citizenship into classrooms and how easy it is as a concept. It is not that we have to think too big. It is something that can be built in within the students and they start practicing it and then take it in the stride then. So there's a feedback form that has been posted on the chat box. So may I request all the participants to fill that feedback form. I'll also be sharing with you the recording of the session and your participation certificates on your registered email IDs post the session. And we would love to keep connecting with you. So please, if it's anything that you would still want to discuss, post a note on the mentioned email ID and then we shall get in touch. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Russ. It was wonderful interacting with you here. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone.
Good evening. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Thank you, dear.